Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Ferguson with Artistic Painting Studio and welcome to Home Talk. Today I'm going to take this cute little box that is going to get turned into a purse, okay? You know, sometimes you need a tiny little purse to go out with. So we're going to have some fun with this with glass beads and foil. We're going to get started with this little box, okay? There's a little story behind this. I don't even know how many years I've had this, okay? But it's just the cutest little thing. And it's already pre-drilled for a handle. And it even has these little tiny, I don't know what you'd call them, but they're like little feet. So it's meant to just sit up and not get right onto the surface. But none of this stuff can be removed because if you look on the inside, there's really just little tacks that put it in there. So I can't remove it. I don't want to try to remove it. So the only thing I could think of was to grab some wax, okay? Just some clear wax. And sometimes I've used candle wax for this technique, but I just figured, okay, we're going to take some wax and I'm going to wax over all of the hardware and the little feet that are on here. And that way I can just paint the entire piece. And I know that this is going to cause what is referred to as a resist. And I won't have to worry about trying to get the paint back off. I'll be able to just wipe it off because the wax is going to resist everything for me. So just a quick little way of doing things where I don't have to try to like figure out how to get that hardware back off and then be able to put it back on again. So this will just save me some time in the long run. And I'm sure it will clean up really, really well. We can also use a little denatured alcohol as well to clean up the hardware in the end, okay? So I think I've got my wax on everything. So we'll put this aside. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is just base coat it. And I'm going to use a product called Bondago. And Bondago is a paint and primer all-in-one to base coat this. And I'm going to base coat the entire thing in black. And you can either use a foam brush. Most of the time I like to use an artist brush, and it's just a flat wash brush. But I'm just going to give this a full paint job. And I'm going to try to stay with the grain of the wood so I don't cause a lot of extra texture, okay? And like I said, I'm not worrying about painting over the hardware. We know that that wax that I put on should hopefully give us a good resist. And then there's always the good old denatured alcohol that should wipe it off as well. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do anything on the inside of this at this point. I just want to adorn the outside of it. And I think I might just leave it black on the inside. And just make sure that it's painted black and sealed really well. There's not much room in here. I'm thinking cell phone and house key, and that's probably about all that will fit in here. Maybe some mints, lipstick, but I think that's all us girls need, okay? We don't need all that other stuff we put in our purse. So I'm gonna base coat this inside and out, and then we'll get to our fun steps, okay? So stick with me. So our cute little box purse is all dry and ready for our next layer, which is going to be our foil adhesive. And this is under my brand, Artsyville Embellishments. So we are going to grab some of this. I've got a big container of it, so I can open this up and show you. It looks milky white in the container. And I always like to pull some of it out, okay, and put it on what I call a sticky plate. And the reason I do this is because I like to add a little water to it, and you never want to put water in your jar because it could contaminate the entire bucket, okay? So always pull some of it out, put it on a foam plate if you have one. And you can just keep reusing your foam plate over and over again. This is just what I call sticky plate. So once I have it on the plate, I'm going to use my, this is like a spritzer bottle, okay? It just kind of gives a fine, fine mist of water and allows me to kind of control how much water I'm putting in here. I like this way better than a regular spray bottle because I think you have a tendency to get too much water if you use a regular spray bottle. So just get that thinned down, because when you thin this foil adhesive down, it brushes on so much easier, okay? Somewhere between 1 to 2%, you know, if you get a little bit more than that, that's fine. But don't try to water it down too much. Okay, now I'm not going to foil on the inside, so we're just going to keep my box shut this time. And we're going to go ahead and apply this to the entire surface on the outside. You can see that the foil adhesive goes on milky white looking, okay? So it's kind of cool because you can see where you've covered, okay, which I love, especially when you're on a dark surface like the black. That way you don't have to guess. Also, as it dries, it will dry shiny, clear and shiny. So that starts to give you an idea as it starts to clear out if it's drying really well. No matter if it's completely clear or not, make sure that you do give it about an hour to dry, and don't force it dry with a hair dryer or stick it in front of a fan and try to force it dry. It's best to just let the product dry 100% all by itself. The longer it dries, the more it gets to what we call a firm, hard tack, and that's going to give you the best transfer of your foils. Okay, I'm trying to stay off the hardware this time. I don't know, we might even just go for it and just foil the hardware as well. We'll see. We're just going to go for it. If we decide to pull it off, we know we've got the wax underneath there, and we'll have a little bit of an easier release to get rid of it. So we're just going to go for it. So let it, put it on. Don't let it puddle anywhere, okay? Make sure you're brushing it out as nice and smooth as you can. It's not a self-leveling product, so you want to try to keep your brush strokes as neat as possible, because otherwise some of those marks could possibly show through your work. Okay, this is going to get a little challenging because we've got a lot of sides to do, and it's going to be nowhere to hold it here soon, okay? So I might have to do this in a couple of different attempts, okay? And as this is sticky on every side, I'm going to get out some wax paper to lay it on. That way, I don't have to worry about it getting stuck anywhere, okay? Now, the bottom of it has those little feet, so we can definitely use that in our advantage, and it keeps it off of the ground. But, so just go ahead, and I'm going to get 100% coverage on here. I'm going to let this dry for an hour, and then we're going to come back and do some fun stuff, okay? We'll transfer a beautiful foil on here, and right after that, we're going to grab some glass beads and do a really gorgeous stencil with the glass beads. Okay, so 100% coverage anywhere that you want to transfer your foil, and allow it to dry, and we'll be back when this is done. So we took a little break, gave our foil adhesive plenty of time to dry, and I've put down a piece of wax paper so that it won't get stuck to anything, because you don't want to put it just on paper because that glue, the foil adhesive, might want to stick to something. So we're going to be using this beautiful foil called Odessa, and it is a holographic foil that changes color, and kind of the pattern changes a little bit as the light reflects it. So I've cut off a couple of pieces, and I'm just going to lay this over carefully, okay? We'll lay this carefully over this side, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do this side as well. I'm trying to get it on there. Oh, without any, well, we're going to have a little bubble, okay? as it caught there. So we might have to do a little bit of repair. But so try to lay it down just onto the surface. And then if you don't have just a soft cloth, even just your paper towels will work fine, where you just can rub the surface and kind of smooth it down. Okay, and I don't want to push on this too far because I don't know if those little hinges are going to snap. And we're going to rub the other side. Now you see I've got some bubbles. Okay, that's fine, because what we're going to do now, because now I have the foil adhesive on both sides, I can close the box. And that way I can work on one side at a time because the foil is stuck there and it won't get stuck to anything else. So I'm going to use my scrubber brush, and just quickly, this is a plastic bristle. They're real stiff, and they make a great tool for transferring your foils. So you just scrub back and forth, and then lift and look. Okay, so where the foil kind of grabbed and then gave me a little bit of a bubble, I'm just going to reposition my foil over that area and just lightly scrub again. And it should backfill that area so that we don't have that black line going across there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, and I can either flip it over onto my extra piece of foil, or like I said, I have that wax paper underneath. Because even though we've transferred the foil, if you don't have 100% coverage, you could still have a little bit of a sticky surface. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rub this side, and then I know wherever these bubbles are, there's probably going to be a lot of the base coat showing there. So I'm going to basically pull the foil back and let it fall right back into place, so those bubbles get popped and they lay down smooth, and we should definitely have better coverage now. Ooh, that is so pretty. Okay, I'm going to lift this up so that you guys can see, but isn't that gorgeous? And as I turn it, it goes from like blue, green, and yellow to like a yellow, pink color, and it has lines that almost look like a linen weave. It is so pretty. I hope that you can see that holographic reflection on there and the different colors it reflects. Okay, so we got two main sides done. So now I'm just going to make sure that I'm setting it on something, okay, to protect. And I'm just going to use my other piece of foil. And I'm going to see if I have enough foil to do the bottom, okay, but I don't want to change the direction of the pattern. I want to keep it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another piece for the bottom. And just make sure that I've got that wide enough, okay, because I laid it this way, so I want to lay it this direction as well. Because it has a very distinctive pattern direction in it, I want to keep making sure that I'm applying the foil that way as well. So we've got our hinges, which are going to be in the way, and they're going to want to keep you away from getting really close. Okay, so you kind of have to release the foil and then maybe get back in there with your fingers so that you can get the foil right up to the hinge. And if we don't get coverage right close to it, we can always probably get another piece of clean foil, okay, that hasn't had a release on it yet, and get those little areas. So yeah, it's going to be a little trickier when you have something that is preventing the foil from laying right down, because we've got the little feet in our way and we've got the hinge in our way. And then we also have this little angle. Okay, I don't know if you can see it on there, but there's a little angle here where the box just angles on that side. So we're going to have to pull it back, let it release, and then push it down into all that area around the hinges. Otherwise, we're going to have a little black halo, okay, from using a black base coat. I have a tendency to always love black underneath because I just don't think it takes away from the foils. If you want to have a color underneath that more closely matches your foil color, you are definitely able to choose any color you want underneath. But you're going to find your foils are going to transfer better over a little bit darker color. Never try to go over white, and I really don't like to go over raw wood. I think it just gives a little bit more depth to the foil colors when we go over a colored base coat. And I don't mind some of the black showing because to me that just kind of gives it a distressed look. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do the top now, okay, and then we'll go for the sides. Again, I want to make sure that I'm using the foil pattern in the same direction that I did on both sides. So I'm making sure that I'm installing it that way. And this is just going to be the cutest little purse box ever. Okay, we're going to push it really close to our hardware, our little hinges. And you can see I'm just using my fingernails when it gets to little things like that. Sometimes I think that works just as good, if not better, than trying to use the scrub brush when you've got these tiny little areas to fix. And again, if there's a little bit of black showing, I'm not going to be bothered at all with that. That just kind of continues with our little bit of our distressed look. Oh, wow. Okay, this is definitely a blingy little project here, okay? So I'm going to, now, so we went this way, so we can go this direction on our ends. And I'm going to go ahead and let this kind of close here so that, let's see if I can get it to close. Because I want my lines to be straight and not at an angle. Okay, so I'm going to have to hold that closed. Maybe once I get the foil on it, I can keep it closed. Scrub our sides. Peek underneath. Oh my gosh, this looks so great. Okay, one last side to do. And let's see, do we have a wide enough piece? Oh, we sure do. Okay, just enough. That's what is so great about our foil, that I never even throw away my little scrap pieces, because all this leftover foil on here, anywhere where there's still color, this can be used for another project, okay? So always hold on to your scraps. They come in handy later. Okay, so we are at a point where we have the cutest little box purse ever. And now I'm going to go ahead and keep it closed. Let's see if I can get my little hinge here to close. There we go. We got it locked. Okay, now I'm still going to stay on the wax paper because remember what I said. We don't always get 100% coverage, and you're just never going to. So there's going to always be a little bit of your base color showing through, which means it still could be a little tacky. Until I get it completely base or top coated, I'm going to keep it on top of wax paper so it stays safe. So the next thing we're going to do, we are just blinging this one completely up. I have the most adorable stencil here. It's called Nora Page is the design, and I'm just going to position this on top of my little box. I got a little bit of adhesive spray on the back because that's going to help it to stay in position. Actually, let's flip it over. It's the other side that's sticky. Okay, there we go. That's sticking better. Make sure you get the adhesive side down towards the foil, okay? So that way it stays in position. You don't have to worry about that stencil moving. It's going to be right there. And then we are going to be using what is called Artsyville Embellishments Glass Bead Gel. Okay, so it's under my brand, and this is just a gel medium that has glass beads in it, and it is awesome. So I put some into a container because I want you guys to be able to see what this looks like. And it truly is just like a gel medium. It looks milky white, and there are tiny little glass beads in there. And the best tool to use to apply these is called a color shaper. So the color shaper is a rubber tipped tool, and it's a really soft rubber. So when you are troweling over the glass beads, it's a soft rubber, so it won't make the beads pop, okay? So all I do is use use this tool to grab the material out of my container and then just glide those beads over the surface. Now you don't want to let it get any thicker than the thickness of the glass bead itself. And I'm using a real soft touch while I'm doing this because you don't have to put any pressure on these. And I'm just letting it just backfill the openings of the stencil. And so there's just going to be one bead thick. Okay, you don't want to get it any thicker than that because it might not dry completely clear if you start stacking the beads. So just keep it nice and the thickness, I should say, of just the one glass bead. So once I have the whole stencil covered, and I'm only going to be able to do one side at a time. It takes glass beads a few hours to dry. This gel medium does not dry really fast, so this whole side will have to dry before I can flip it over and do the other side of the purse. Okay, so I'm recapturing my beads back into my container, and then we are going to carefully remove the stencil. Oh, and show you what this looks like. Okay, let me find a safe place to put that down for now. Okay, and oh, I'm going to turn this around to show you guys. This is so cute. Okay, I want you to get up close and personal with this. Okay, because it's a stencil, you can see that it went through some of the openings and kind of over the edge. So all I'm going to do is just grab those and smooth them out a little bit and put that excess on a paper towel, okay? So if I have any little edges that just look like they got filled in on the angle, okay, I'm just kind of wiping those away and I'm going to clean them up. That way we don't have some sharp edges to the design, okay, because the box has a little angle all the way around it. So we're going to clean off those edges really well and then let this thoroughly dry. So right now it's going to look kind of milky white because the glass bead gel stays milky until it dries. And when it dries, it's just going to be perfectly clear, beautiful, shiny glass beads. So we'll be back as soon as this is dry and show you what it looks like. Okay, one other thing we're going to show you in regards to cleaning up, and also that this is a cost-effective thing. Use the same color shaper brush tool, okay, and scrape off all the additional glass beads that were sitting on the stencil. Put them back inside the container, and if you are cleaning it on a clean piece of like paper, you can even recapture everything that goes through the stencil and put this back in your container as well, okay? That way you're not wasting all that glass bead that was just on top of the stencil. And also, you always want to clean it off really good before you go and wash it in your sink, okay? So just clean up your stencil and be ready for doing the other side. So this adorable little box purse is done. And I just wanted you guys to see how incredible that looks with the glass bead gel and the Odessa foil on the background and how it changes color depending on how the light reflects it. So cool. Okay, we've got a little bit of embellishment to finish, and that's going to be putting on a top coat and adding our handle. So as I'd indicated, our final touches is just putting on a top coat. I went for a gloss varnish, okay, and then I found this, it's a wire, okay, I don't know where I found it, but it was designed to be like a little purse handle that could be covered. So I just grabbed some ribbon that I had around here, a color that I thought would possibly go with this because it reflects so many different colors. And all I'm going to do is just wrap it around, okay, until I get to the other side and tie another cute little knot. And I think this will just give us some personality and be a nice little handle to hold on to. Okay, so we'll finish this up and then I'll show you what this looks like in the end. Isn't that absolutely adorable? Okay, we're gonna find me a cute little model or an absolutely adorable outfit to rock this with, and we'll show you soon. Okay, so we're all done. I got my cute little purse and we're headed out.